Something really special to work with today. Smith & Wesson Model 929, Jerry Michalik edition, and it's from the Performance Center at Smith & Wesson. And above and beyond that, it has been very well tuned. It's got a titanium cylinder. Hammer has been bobbed and very nicely polished, I might add. So this is definitely a competitor's gun, loaned to me by a very good competitor. Someone who shoots revolver almost exclusively. And boy, this thing does have a very, very beautifully light and smooth double action trigger. I'll put a gauge on that later and we'll look at what the actual numbers are on this thing, but it is incredible. So it is an honor and a privilege to be able to shoot this very fine revolver from the Performance Center at Smith & Wesson that's been extra tuned, had a lot of extra gunsmithing work and attention done to it, and it is all dialed in for competition. Let's see how bad I can make it look. I paced off the distance to my target. It is about somewhere between 17 and 18 yards. So it's a little bit of a stretch for offhand shooting with a gun I'm not familiar with. The 929 shoots 9mm, uses moon clips like you see them loaded in here, and those funny looking tips are blue bullets. Not only is the gun alone, I was also provided some of the owner's own match ammo. So that's always nice. I did load some of my own match ammo as well. Take a look at that for comparison. Now again, because this hammer has been bobbed completely flush and polished, there is no single action mode to this revolver. It is double action only. It's got a beautiful green filament sight. See if I can hit that dot. Looks like I'm a little bit left. Can't tell for sure. But you can see the way the moon clip holds 8 rounds. That 8 rounds drops nicely into this titanium cylinder, which is not the standard cylinder. You can also notice very likely that there's no hammer spur on this gun. That is also not a standard configuration. So the owner's had a couple of things done. He's had the hammer bobbed, very, very flush, and he's had a titanium cylinder which has been beautifully, beautifully chamfered. I'm going to show you some nice close-ups of that. The owner has also removed the compensator and put on the muzzle cap. The muzzle cap is part of the gun, or it comes with the gun, so you do have that choice. Not all competitions will allow the compensator, and so you can't really use the compensator to compete legally, so it comes with a muzzle cap that you can replace that with, which is nice. Front sight is awesome. It is a green filament. Actually shows up pretty nicely against this blue background. Very, very visible sight picture. Nice adjustable rear, blacked out. All right, here's a look at that front sight. She does glow. Okay, here's the numbers for people who like the numbers. Gun weighs 44 ounces, empty. It's got a 6.5-inch barrel. The overall length of the gun is just over 12 inches, 12.13 is what Smith & Wesson calls it. Overall height is 6 inches. That may or may not be with this particular set of grips, so that's always a caveat. And the gun will run you somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,200 bucks. This is an 8-shot revolver. Those first 8 shots were pretty consistently low left, around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and that screams trigger control. So I'm going to see if I can't maybe improve on that a little bit with this next 8. God, this trigger is nice. Okay. I can see from here that it looks like I brought at least some of them more toward the 6 o'clock area, which is good. I'm happy to be there. I'll tell you what, trigger on this thing is sweet. I got used to it really quick. It's easy to prep that trigger so that you put yourself effectively in a single action mode, and you can make sure you square your sights up and squeeze off that last tiny little bit. So I like that. So for slow fire, you could definitely shoot this in a virtual single action mode if you want to. I like that. It's been out since about 2014, so it's just now about 3 years on the market. And it has had, I believe it has really enjoyed some nice popularity. I haven't personally given a whole lot of serious thought to having a 9mm revolver in my own collection, but if I were going to, this one probably hands down would be the one I would want. That custom work was done very, very nicely by the gunsmith, and I'm going to show him a little love because I found in the box, rummaging around in there to see what parts might be in there, I found a gunsmith's card. So show a little love to the gunsmith that did the work. BRW LLC, Boss Hoss Revolver Works. Gentleman by the name of Paul Francis. Nobody asked me to do this, but I like to show a little bit of love and give some attention to the people who do this kind of fine work. And he did do a beautiful job on this back hammer. I found during shooting the gun, when I tried my own ammunition with maybe a little bit harder primers, that all that weight removed, because you can see just how abbreviated that hammer really is now. All that weight being removed made it a little difficult to shoot some of my ammo, and I had a lot of light strikes. Something to consider. Okay, my shade over there started to get compromised, so I have moved, repositioned my target, and I repositioned myself. I am now 7 yards away from the target, a little more of a cheater's distance for me, and we're both in the shade, so that's a good thing, and hopefully I'll be in the shade for a little while. I'm going to switch over now and shoot a little bit of my own match ammo that I have put into the moon clips that are required. This is also, this titanium cylinder has been well chamfered out. I'll get some nice eye candy close-ups of the whole gun for you in a bit. The moon clips, quite frankly, were a pain in the butt to load. I'm used to loading 45 caliber moon clips, 45 ACP. They load pretty easy. These didn't load too easy at all. Let's see how I can shoot it up close. 7 yards. Good self-defense distance. Okay. So, interesting. All right, well, I finally got all 8 of them to fire, but I had to, no, I didn't. So out of that 8, 3 of them with hard primers wouldn't fire. We will try those again maybe. All right, let's go back to something we know will work. I probably use CCI primers too. Nice, very nice, very smooth. Okay, I'm a sucker for punishment. So I'm gonna try another clip of my own. The primers are not high, feeling them right now. Primers are not high, but they certainly could be hard. I can't remember, these could be CCI primers, very likely. The other thing too is, you know, when you bob a hammer like this, you take away a significant amount of the weight. And so on its forward motion, it's not as powerful as it was. Could be some spring work done too, so this gun may not be quite as able to shoot a hard primer as stock factory. Nope. 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 1 for 4. 2 for 5. 2 for 6. 2 for 7. 2 for 8. Okay, still 2 that didn't go. Okay, I'm going to finish up, I think, with the blue bullets. I'm not going to play around too much with the ones that don't want to fire. When I'm out of ammo or out of shade, whichever comes first, we're done. Wow, what a sweet, sweet shooter. Try a little one hand. A little bit of one hand. Boy, you really can prep this trigger. I can feel the sear in my finger. Wow, what a sweetheart. This titanium cylinder is really, really light, and I could feel that when I was working the action. Feel that you're really not turning any weight whatsoever. So that takes me to the trigger itself, and yes, this gun has had a trigger job done. I'm going to measure that in a minute. Smith & Wesson, out of the box, will tell you that the double action is just a hair under 9 pounds. Well, this has been rendered to a double action only revolver, so there's no point talking about single action. So I'm going to measure what that double action is at this point in time. There is an adjustable trigger stop, so you can make sure that you don't have any over travel. And all in all, with a 6.5-inch barrel, the gun feels pretty well balanced. You've got a little bit of weight out front, but that does actually help you with what little bit of recoil there is, helps you to manage that. So why that strange distance, you ask? Why somewhere between 17 and 18 yards from your target? Well, because the target's in front of the berm, which is where it needs to be, and I am in the shade. And as this little patch of shade gets smaller and smaller, I'm going to get faster and faster so I can get out of here. It's about 90 degrees now, and it's just now noon. It's supposed to get up about 93 or 94. So, all right. I'm going to speed things up just a little bit, and my groups are going to suffer for it, but I just want to see, get a feel for the nice full double action stroke on this thing. Okay, wow, that was nice. Very smooth. Don't judge the quality of this gun and this trigger by some of my lousy hits, but that was sweet. Sometimes, you know, with triggers, especially revolvers, but you know, even semi-automatics, you know, you start, if you're shooting too slow, you start getting real picky about the trigger. It's like, oh, I feel a little bit of grit, or the reset is a little bit this or a little bit that, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just got to shut up and shoot and just pick up the pace a little bit, because then in many cases that's when you're going to really feel how the trigger can perform when it's at its best. That was kind of the case with this. When I was doing the slow fire, I could feel every little notch in the action, which is a good thing because it did allow me to prep the trigger for that single action break. But when you shoot double action, you just make it one stroke. Man, this thing is smooth, like a hot knife going through butter. It's a nice Hogue grip that the Performance Center puts on it. Has a great cushion and a nice hold on the pistol, and at the same time, it's got a nice texture that really does grab your hand, keeps it planted. All right, let's take a look at this trigger. As I said, it is double action only. In this case, after the gunsmith got done bobbing the hammer, so 6 pounds, 12 ounces. I'm going to do a few. We'll take an average. £6 5.5 ounces. £6 6 ounces. So you can see that even with that first one that read a little higher, averaging 6 pounds 8 ounces, which is exactly 6.5 pounds. So that puts it about 1.5 pounds less than what the Performance Center sends it out with. So it has definitely had a trigger job done, and it is smooth. I found when I was shooting it though that you can really prep it to about right there, and then you can effectively shoot it single action. And it's kind of, if you run the trigger slow, you can get it set right there to where you're just playing with that sear. You can feel it in single action mode and then drop it. So I liked that about it for slow target shooting, or if you were shooting a match and you had a couple of long shots you needed to take, really needed that accuracy, you can prep it and then just drop it. Nice. I did like that. So I'd like to thank my friend Chuck for allowing me to borrow and shoot this gun and share it with you folks. It is a beautiful gun, and like I said, if I ever decide that I've got to have a 9mm wheel gun, I think this is going to have to be the one. So I remember when the 929 first came out, what's it been, probably 2 years now maybe? You know, I was really enamored with the whole concept of a 9mm Smith & Wesson performance revolver, but I really just couldn't see any purpose for me having one because I don't shoot revolver in competition, and you know, if I'm going to shoot a 9mm revolver, why not just shoot a 38 revolver, so on and so forth. So so I never felt like I needed to grab one, but I'll tell you what, this is one heck of a sweet pistol. The guys have built it really well in the Performance Center. The gunsmithing work that the owner has had done after that has been really nice. The titanium cylinder is so light, you can feel how easy it turns with each trigger press. The bobbed hammer is great, although I think the bobbed hammer is causing a little bit of problem with my primers in my loads. But this is one sweet shooter. You don't have to be a revolver competition shooter to appreciate and enjoy it. See me short stoke that trigger? Shows you I don't shoot revolvers nearly enough. It's hot. The shade is getting smaller and smaller. So I'm going to wrap it up at the range. I'll leave you with this.